Hey everyone, today I'd like to share my initial review of Path of Exile 2. After completing the campaign on 4 different classes and watching a few reviews, here are my thoughts so far. The TLDR, the game feels great overall. It's kind of like a harder Path of Exile 1, but also playing Melee in Path of Exile 2 feels like playing a hard mode within a hard mode sometimes. Overall, I'm enjoying Path of Exile 2. For an early access title, it's in a really solid place. Keep in mind that we have less than half the game available right now. We are still waiting on 6 more classes, 24 more ascendancies, and acts 4 through 6. I'm sure there'll be a lot of additional additions as well. Also, my review is going to be focused mostly on leveling and getting to the end game since I've not really gotten too far through the end game yet. Let's start with Melee. It's noticeably harder on average, which might give new players a bad first impression. Back in the day, games often steered new players towards a fighter or melee class because they are more straightforward and defensive, making mistakes easier to recover from. And that's not the case here. In Path of Exile 2, melee requires more precision. You're in the thick of combat, dodging more attacks. Sure, melee characters don't have as far to move to avoid cone-shaped attacks, but ranged generally have more time to react. And if a boss fight favors melee positioning, range builds can just always step into melee range. Melee players don't have that flexibility. The recent patch addressing Trial of Secumus has helped a bit, but melee still feels disproportionately challenging. The tricky thing is that any change they make to make melee easier could also benefit ranged players, so it's kind of a tough balancing act. Grinding Gear Games has also been very quick with patches. Fixes are coming out almost daily. It's not all good though. They have been pretty quick to nerf overperforming skills, but also slow to buff underperforming ones. While this approach can feel a bit frustrating, I get it. It's much easier to give something to players than it is to take it away. Buffing a skill just to take it away again would definitely feel worse. The campaign so far is solid. I feel like almost any class and skill combo can make it through the acts with the right build and gearing. However, the campaign's length is a bit concerning to me. My fastest clear time is 14 hours, which is nearly 3 times my Path of Exile 1 clear times. And while that doesn't feel bad now, such a lengthy campaign might deter players from coming back for new seasons in the future. There are still a few frustrating issues that stand out to me. One of them is one-shots. One-shots are far too common, and I often have no idea what killed me. Even something as simple as showing the damage type of the killing blow would help. I know Grinding Gear Games is hesitant about this as it might lead to false assumptions, like blaming a specific attack when instead you're really dying because of a degen. But a disclaimer could address that concern while still providing useful information to identify trends of damage. Another pain point is the rune system. The rune system is a great idea in concept for replacing the crafting bench from Path of Exile 1. However, it needs a little bit of tweaking. Currently, you can't destroy the runes in sockets, which makes gearing decisions overly stressful. You're wondering, is this gear good enough to put a rune in? What happens if I change another gear later? How am I going to fix my fire resist if I switch my ring? Allowing players to destroy a socketed room, perhaps using an Artificer's Orb, would ease that friction. Crafting currently also feels a bit lackluster. The intended experience seems to be that you find a decent piece of gear on the ground and improve it through crafting. But in practice, it's far too random to make crafting upgrades a reliable thing during the campaign. In Standard, I'm usually better off using an Exalt to buy an upgrade from a player than trying to upgrade a piece of gear I found. This would be different in Solo Self-Found, and maybe I just haven't cracked the code to crafting good gear yet. Also, the uncut gem system is mostly solid, and I really enjoy being able to pick whatever skill gem I happen to need at the time. I really need something to do with all the low-tier uncut gems that I have. I don't tend to need them for leveling an alt character. They get enough on their own. So maybe something as simple as using the reforging bench to merge 3 to move it up a tier to help with over leveling would be nice. Finally, while I'm only a little bit into the end game, it does feel at odds with the rest of the game. Path of Exile 2 leans into slow, deliberate gameplay, but the end game mechanics seem to push for speed. For example, Breach and Delirium both require killing as fast as possible. In Breach, you have to keep up with clearing enemies to maintain the progress to extend the breach, and with Delirium, you have to stay within the wave while killing as quickly as possible to maximize your rewards. These mechanics punish slower builds, which clashes with the game's overall design philosophy. A possible solution would to be to adjust Delirium to add layers of, like Path of Exile 1's orbs did. And for Breach, the rewards could scale based on total kills instead of kill speed and end after you've killed some sort of boss. Despite some issues, I'm having a great time with Path of Exile 2. The potential is clear, and I'm excited to see how the game evolves. What are your thoughts? Did I miss something? Let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like to hang out, come catch me on Twitch. I'll have a link in the description.